The most common questions that I get are, what file format should I use when I am working with my images? If you are actually working on your images, then you will want to use the PSD file type. That's the Photoshop document. That's what PSD stands for, that file type. That's Photoshop's native file format that will preserve all of your layers, your adjustment layers, and the stuff that is stored in that document. But if you are working with other people, you might not be able to get away with using a PSD file. So let me show you some other alternatives when you are working in different situations. If I go to File, we can choose Save for Web. If you are going for the web, in any regards, you will want to use Save for Web. But I am going to assume for this tutorial that you are not going to do that. So I am going to choose Save As. Save As. And when we look at the format here, the drop-down, Photoshop, you see that we have WeHaunt of formats. And this is, I think, why people ask the question. So it can be overwhelming seeing all these different file types and not knowing what they do. But the thing is, they allow this, or they are just really outdated, or they are here just for, to be compatible with all the stuff. But really, don't be worrying about them. Now let me give you a few that it's kind of aware of a large document format. For example, this Sound Really Generate. This is actually a Photoshop file. It's larger than 2 GB. So if you get a ruling big print-sized document with tons and tons of layers, it's very possible that it will go over 2 GB. And if it does, Photoshop will not allow you to save it as a PSD, but save it as a PSB. I think that's the Photoshop bit that is a large document format. Another thing that you are going to be aware of are formats typically used for printing. EPS, for example, is very common, but there still is Photoshop PDF. That is a great one for printing. And also a Photoshop DCS 2.0. These are also used for printing, and although PDF really is becoming the standard, TIFF is another really high-quality image format. If you are not going to export your images with a bunch of layers and whatnot, and you want to just kind of collapse it and send the image to a printer, TIFF is the industry standard, and its perfect quality are really great and are recommended to use. In print industry again, TIFF is the gold standard, and actually TIFF files are very powerful. They can have layers and a few other basic features, but you don't want to see your work in Photoshop. So you want your work file always on a PSD, or you want to export or copy as a TIFF or other formats as well. So those are pretty much the big ones. Of course, there is the PNG, pronounced paint, and JPEG, and even GIF. We do for the web. But other than that, that's pretty much the really common formats that are used. And again, I can't stress enough that whenever you get your format, let's see someone give you the JPEGs and TIFF to work with. Then you want to put that into a workshop document and work on that, and that export to one of these other file formats. So you never want to, let's say, get JPEG and then work on the JPEG and then save it as a JPEG again. If you want to get the JPEG and immediately save it as a Photoshop document, and then you can export, that is a JPEG as a copy, not ever saving over that master Photoshop document.